Hello, I'm Robin Davis.
And I'm Naz Islam.
And this is the Friday Fixture.
Your weekly football podcast every Friday, previewing the big matches this weekend.
Whether you're on the commute home from work, prepping yourself for the weekend, or just want to hear a bit of footy chat, we have the Friday Fixture. We practiced that a lot before we recorded today. Naz, do you want to give a little intro to the listeners about yourself? What football team you support? A little bit of a bio. Go on. Go
Absolutely.
For it.
Liverpool is my team. The greatest team in the land, the greatest team in footballing history. But you knew that anyway.
Yeah.
And also I'm from Northampton, so Northampton Town as well. We follow the Cobblers. Not so great, but wonderful team.
We move.
What about you?
Yeah, so I was born in York, so I'm a York City fan, and then also naturally a Chelsea fan. But I do have a legitimate reason to support them. My family is from London, so yeah, those are my two teams.
Are you saying I don't have a legitimate
No,
reason
not
to
at
support
all.
Liverpool?
No, but I feel like when you're born in like York, people are like, oh, why don't you support just York City or Leeds United? I do have a fairly legitimate reason to support Chelsea. Like everyone else. I feel like I've dug a hole here. I didn't mean to.
No, don't worry. Do you know what it is as well, though? Is I think if you're from a place that doesn't have a Premier League team, you're also just kind of allowed to support a Premier League team. Otherwise, it's boring.
That's true.
You know, what are you going to watch on TV if your team's not on?
That's true. And you've got a good team, so we've got the best of both worlds, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
What we're going to do is a few different things each week, but we're going to start with a little bit of a roundup of the games that just happened. Obviously, it's been international break, which is obviously everyone's has a love-hate relationship with it. Naz, England versus Latvia just happened on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
There was two things that happened in that game. Pickford, I think, has got a new record for clean sheets, which is obviously impressive. It's against Latvia, so give or take. What do you think on that? Harry Kane, though, I want to speak about Harry Kane. Is he England's greatest ever striker? The floor is yours.
Yes, he is. I think it's been. I don't even think it's been in question for some time now. He is England's greatest ever striker. Phenomenal, and he's only proven it the older he gets as well. He's like a fine wine. He's brilliant. I am actually really looking forward to the World Cup if he continues to be in this kind of form, because that kind of play, when he gets there, he could be doing some serious damage.
It leads me on quite nicely to sort of wondering, do you think England will win the World Cup? I mean, I always feel like we go into tournaments with that sort of sense of false optimism. I think we will, but not because of Harry Kane. I think it might be because of the admittance of Bellingham.
Oh, yeah.
We saying in or out? What's the vibe here?
It's a tricky one because, Tuchel has kind of started putting a team together that's consistent, right? And they're producing results, and Bellingham's not there. And it's kind of are we sacrificing one incredible generational talent for the good of the team? Which, realistically, if that's going to bring you success and it works, then but you do have to question somebody that good. Surely he's got to start.
Well, it's a bit like you could say the same argument about Cole Palmer at the Euros last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year. He came off the bench, impact sub most games, was very impressive. Yeah. Everyone was calling for him to start, but it kind of sort of worked, that kind of impact sub vibe. He came on in the final, I believe, or did he start? I can't remember. So it's just sort of finding that balance, I suppose, in the team. I think a player that, he's been spoken a lot recently. I really love Anderson. I think he's a fantastic player. He was sold from Newcastle, ironically, for PSR reasons. Mm-hmm. He's gone on to Nottingham. I know they're not having a great season. Last season, Anderson was amazing. He's carried on his form. Maybe not the team. Maybe his team hasn't, but he certainly has. So maybe you're right. Maybe we don't need a Bellingham. Maybe we do. The time will tell. Mm-hmm. Time will tell.
I think the thing is, though, with Bellingham as well, is the difference between Bellingham and Palmer especially, is Palmer never really established himself as part of that main England 11, right? But Bellingham was always just like a fixture. It's always there. If he's fit, he plays.
Yeah.
And so it was fine to have Palmer be that impact sub. If you do that to a player that's got sort of the stature of Bellingham, Real Madrid superstar, it almost feels disrespectful. And I can kind of get why there's the suggestion, because Tuchel said something about this as well, where he kind of implied the dressing room harmony required Bellingham to be away from it. So it's kind of how far do you want to foster an ego to let like results come out of it, you know?
Well, there's lots of rumours, isn't there, that supposedly Bellingham doesn't get on with some of his England teammates. I don't know if that's true. That might just be hype. Who knows? But yeah, let's move on. Just quickly, Cape Verde qualified for the World Cup. They're the second smallest nation to reach the World Cup after they beat Eswatini. Hope I pronounced that correctly. 3-0 at home. Congratulations to them.
Do you know which team was the first smallest?
Oh, I don't have that on my notes. Do you?
I do know.
That's fine.
I do know. It is Iceland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. When was that?
That was like recently. It was the World Cup where they beat England.
It was Euros. Was that not the Euros?
Oh, it was Euros, was it? Yeah.
Okay.
Producer Seth there.
Yeah.
Also gave you the Iceland fact.
Oh yeah. That's true. You did. Yeah.
Yeah, anything else from the World Cup qualifiers that sort of came to mind?
I'm taking a closer look at South America because I think that's going to be a dangerous cohort when it comes round. Because obviously you've got the holders, and it looks like Messi will still be around. Hopefully,
I thought he was retiring from.
It's one of those because it's the World Cup and it's him and the romance of it all. Like he'll still want to be there, especially if Ronaldo's going. They kind of just keep each other going, you know. But they still look formidable. Brazil look formidable, but they still have this like age-old issue of not being like, the Brazil of years gone by, where they are like beautiful to watch, and they still have this whole issue with a striker and like producing talent in that sense. It's everywhere on the pitch. They're amazing, but they still can't find that goal scorer, right?
Who have they got now? It's like, who's the options up front for them now?
I mean, I think Richarlison is still.
Yeah, I was going to say Richarlison. I didn't want to like misquote myself, but I'm pretty sure he's still their main striker. Is that correct?
I think there's also other players as well, but they are a team that I think they're like this close to being phenomenal, right? Yeah. But then you have the other teams that have qualified. Colombia look dangerous. Luis Diaz looking brilliant as well. So I don't know. There's some talent.
I saw an interview that Klinsmann gave to Sky Sports yesterday, or just to the general media. He was talking about Valencia being. Is that a country? That is a country, isn't it? My mind has literally gone blank.
Valencia in Spain.
Sorry, not Valencia. Let's cut that out. Ecuador. I was thinking of Valencia.
Are you thinking of Enna Valencia?
Valencia used to play for Ecuador. My mind went
blank. No, he still does, and he's also he's their main goal threat as well.
Let's keep that in. That's quite funny.
At like 35 years old. And they literally have nobody else that can score goals other than him.
I thought, maybe I've misquoted myself. Anyway, let's move on. Naz, do you want to talk about the previews from this week?
I mean, there's one game that stands out. There's one very exciting game that stands out. It's a huge fixture, the biggest in British footballing history. It is, of course, the mighty Liverpool versus Man United. And I'm very excited because even though Liverpool have been pretty dreadful of late, I think there's no fixture that I could want more to get you to bounce back than playing against Manchester United.
I was going to say, because you're winless in 4 now?
So 3 losses in a row.
Yeah, three losses in a row. You're against a mediocre United side. Although obviously they beat Sunderland in their last game. Mason Mount seems to have made a bit of a weird resurgence, which I don't really like as a Chelsea fan. But anyway, we move. Do you think it'll just be a standard 3-0 win, Salah hat-trick, job done?
That's what I'm hoping for. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. It's one of those where the thing is, United will be terrible, right? They'll be terrible all the time. And then they'll come up against Liverpool and suddenly we're looking at it like prime Ferguson, 08-09 United that have turned up and decided to make it a horrible game. That's why we had so many 0-0s over the past few years. But then it's also could be the Liverpool that turn up and decide to be like prime Barcelona Liverpool and just blow them away, 4 or 5-0 and all that. So
I do feel like obviously the tragic death of Jota. You lost Diaz to Bayern. I think it's that even though Liverpool paid so much money for like Isak. You've got this fantastic midfield. It does feel a little bit like you're lacking a little bit of attacking power, which sounds a strange thing to say, but it does feel like from the outside looking in that there's something missing. But I don't know if it's more like the transition, bringing a player like Isak in, the quality of Isak, finding his sort of best form, whether that's more of the narrative. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. No,
it is absolutely that. It's the sense of it clicking, because normally what you would have done, right, is you would have brought in the Isak and Ekitike and whoever, and you would have added to this Arsenal that you've already got. Whereas the departure, you've got Nunez, you've got Jota, you've got Diaz gone as well. It's kind of messy now, and I think Slot's still figuring that out, which will come good. I don't think there's any need to really worry about that.
No, and I suppose as well, literally losing a teammate. I mean, that's in
it
that
will have
tragic,
a tough impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to have an impact. So yeah, there's lots of things at play there. I also think it's quite interesting. Obviously, I thought we mentioned about the Man United goalkeeper situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I heard on the radio the fans chanting about their new goalkeeper. Is it Lamens?
Yeah.
He played one good game against Sunderland, and they were basically comparing him to Schmeichel, which I thought was kind of crazy. Do you think they've actually ever replaced De Gea? Because I don't think they have. I mean,
they haven't,
no.
And that was an awful decision in the first place to let him go, because that man was carrying that club. Because he was player of the season like so many years as well, which kind of also tells about like how awful they really were when your goalkeeper is winning that. But yeah, I mean this new guy Lamens, he does look promising. And it looks like, might be more of an optimistic start compared to sort of the fumbling of Anana when he came in, and and by India as well. So, like, I don't know.
I'd say devil's advocate. I mean, it's one game. It's Sunderland. I mean, Sunderland have been very strong.
Yeah, no shade to Sunderland.
They've been a good team this year in the Premier League. I think I hope they stay up. It'd be good for the league if a team like that stays up. They're a historic club. But yeah, one game. I mean, I think you have to give them the season to sort of see how he'll fare.
How do you feel, by the way, about Jim Ratcliffe saying Amorim will need to stick around for a couple of years?
I heard he said he was quoted on TalkSport, I think, saying 3 years.
Yeah,
that's quite a long time.
It's a long
3
time.
years of purgatory for those poor fans. Yeah, I don't know. I think United need a lot of work doing to them.
Yeah.
If you were to buy them as a sort of like analogy of a house, you'd basically just bulldoze it and start again, wouldn't you? I mean, every part of it needs renovating. The goalkeeper, the defence, maybe not the strikers. They've got some good strikers, but they need the players behind them. They've obviously got Fernandes, but I mean, they've got Casemiro in defensive midfielder. That's their only kind of defensive midfield option at the moment.
Yeah,
because they don't seem to like playing mainly for some reason. So yeah, there's a lot of work doing, and they've spent a lot of money. So it just feels like every year they're just like papering over the cracks, and they're just starting again every year.
It's exactly that.
But yeah, I was going to ask you sort of nostalgia, because I feel like this fixture is one of my favourites. When you see it come up in the sort of English media, TalkSport, and it's aired on Sky, obviously normally. I always think of players like Torres. There's a game where Torres sort of bulldozes Rio Ferdinand out the way.
It's Vidic.
No, that's the other game.
Oh,
There's
okay.
two examples.
Yeah,
so you're thinking of the one at Old Trafford. I was thinking of the one at Anfield where he like comes on an angle and then gets it top
Oh,
bins.
yeah, you are right. Yeah.
And those sort of goals, I know you're about to talk about the Vidic one as well. I mean, those kind of players are iconic for that fixture to me. You're a Liverpool fan. Who's kind of your go-to goats, as it were, for this fixture in the past?
I remember watching these games, and my dad would refer to Fernando Torres as the Torrerizer.
Oh yeah, nice. I like that.
Because he loved watching him play against Man United, and it was brilliant to watch. But yeah, that's one that sticks out. One of the other ones that actually I do remember quite well is David Ngog scoring, because that's a cult hero, and he was like against Man United, he just turned up.
Do you know what? That is true. Actually, he would like go quiet the rest of the
season.
So
quiet, and then suddenly he's playing Man United. He'd be pulling out 10 out of 10 performance every time.
That is such a. There's another player he used to play for Liverpool. I think he scored. Was it is it Italian player? I think it was like 4-1 in the end at Old Trafford.
Desena,
yes. Another player that just randomly pops up on like Sky Sports nostalgic retro highlights clips. Yeah. Okay, so Torres. Okay, what about so in terms of Suarez? Like there was a lot of Eshousery against Evra back in the day.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of lost that element to an extent. I think everyone's quite friendly. I kind of miss. Roy Keane often talks about the kind of friendliness. Do you want to see a return of the kind of nastiness of football?
Depends. It depends on the fixture, because
maybe not Suarez level, because that was a bit nasty. That was
taken a bit too far.
Yeah, that was bad. I'm not saying that, but
no, I hear you.
Yeah.
I do think the game, like the last real sort of, I think, champion of the Eshousery was Jamie Vardy. I think he really brought that element to the game in a beautiful, beautiful way. You still work with players like, Neil Maupay and like Diego Costa and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game is missing it now. For a game like Liverpool United, that's what I want to see. Like, people just really getting on each other's nerves. Like, it needs it.
Too nice, anyway. But moving on, we've got other fixtures this weekend. We've got Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Forest are winless in 7. So even worse than Liverpool.
Yeah.
Naz, who would have thought it?
Well, Ange is supposed to be high up in the odds to be getting sacked, and he's just started. I can't imagine what do managers do when they
I don't know.
rent a house in this situation? You know what I mean? Surely you've signed up.
All I would say is I don't have that much sympathy. They're getting paid millions of pounds, but I see your point.
What do you do? Cancel the tenancy agreement? I don't get it.
Phone up right move and go. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, man. I got sacked. My bad.
That's interesting. Obviously, Palmer's out for 6-7 weeks. I think that's a big miss. I think it'd be a classic game where Chelsea are one of those teams where I can just imagine it now, where Nottingham Forest will beat them comprehensively, maybe 2-0. It'll be one of those, it's a 12:30 kickoff. It's a very, I've been to that ground as an away fan. It's a hard place to go to. I know that's often the cliche, but it's true. It's a hard place to go to when the fans are up for it, and they don't like Chelsea. So I just feel I just know what's going to happen. Yeah. They're going to win 2-0, and it's just going to be like the irony, right? We just beat Liverpool, played quite well. I can just see it now. Mm-hmm. I also wanted to mention, Burnley Leeds.
Yeah.
6-pointer, perhaps. That sort of relegation.
Who do you feel is more of a survival candidate out of Burnley and Leeds?
Do you know what? I think Burnley are very spirited, and I don't mean that in a sort of patronising way, but I think they lost 5-1 to Man City recently.
That happens.
That can happen to most teams, to be fair. The Villa away defeat, I think they played fairly well. That was 2-1, I think. I don't know. I just think that Leeds have got something about them. They've obviously got a historic ground. Again, that sounds cliche, but it's true. I think their fans are fantastic.
Yeah.
I have lots of Leeds fans who are that is their life. It's a religion up there. So I just think they've got something about them. I think Calvert-Lewin is a weird sort of nest egg that I think he might get them out of trouble. I think he might be the saviour of Leeds.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you?
Out of the two, I'm back in Leeds because
Yeah.
I do think what you're saying makes sense. Especially, Calvert-Lewin. He kind of, I think he's not to say he's found his level because it feels harsh against him because he was obviously at one point phenomenal at Everton as well.
Yeah.
I think he just took a massive knock in confidence, injuries and stuff, and now he's kind of finding his feet again at Leeds, and I think he'll be quite iconic for them. I can see him doing really well for them. I'm backing them. Burnley look very disciplined, but I don't think they have enough going forward to manage the whole season through, Sure. So I think they're at risk. And we'll see where this weekend goes because I guess we'll get more of an idea after.
I do. I think if Leeds comprehensively beat them, then I think they have a strong argument to set up. Yeah, other fixtures in the Premier League, we've got Fulham Arsenal at 5:30. That's always quite tasty. Fixture, I think famous. I remember a few seasons ago, I think Fulham beat them on around New Year's Eve, and that was always quite satisfying because it sort of went on that run where Arsenal went on a bit of a sort of barren spell, and that was quite funny for the media. Apart from if you're an Arsenal fan, apologies if you are. We've got, and on Sunday we've also got Spurs Villa. That's always quite a fun game.
That's
a traditional
a spicy game,
top 7, top 6 kind of vibe game before the big game, which is Liverpool versus Man United.
Yeah.
But I thought we'd bring in Maeve now, who is our producer, and she's a big West Ham fan.
Hello, producer Maeve.
Yes, hello. How are we today? Yeah.
And obviously you're playing Brentford on Monday Night Football.
Yes, exciting game.
And the form of both teams is quite mixed, but the main talking point I wanted to get you on was obviously about the fan-led protest.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about the idea that you've done this protest in a game that I might argue is a lesser fixture? Because there's lots of people talking about this, because you had games against Spurs and Chelsea, all the fans turned up, that was all fine, everything was going quite badly wrong then.
Yeah.
Why is it sort of I don't know, it just feels a bit weird.
I think people are sick of it even more.
Okay,
we're having a rough time, guys.
Yeah,
cut us some slack. I think part of the reason could be, it's Nuno's first game, never know. And it could be, it depends really. I don't know how much difference they're going to make. I don't know how, it's a small game. Are there many of them? Is it going to be a big boycott? Is it going to be a big protest? It's tricky. I think it's hard that it's Nuno's first, but I think in the grand scheme of things, we're struggling. But every team struggles, every team has their time. Not necessarily a need to revolt in a way.
Yeah, I mean,
how you feel about it.
I was going to say, but I suppose, and maybe to sort of back up the fans, you pay good money to go. I presume for the Chelsea game, it would cost a lot more to go to that game if unless you're a season ticket holder, of course. So maybe there's kind of an element of people don't have much money these days. I get that element too. If it's a cheaper game, I can also see that argument of being like,
yeah,
you know, I don't want to, I've paid 70 quid to not go. Like in any other environment, if you paid to go to the theatre, unless you really oppose that there's some political element to not going to theatre, you're obviously going to go, aren't you? So
I think
do
in the
get it from
fan
both
community it's a bit divided because some people are saying, you know, let's boycott it entirely. Some people are saying, is that really going to cause a big drama? And others are saying, no, let's buy tickets and then we'll walk out in the 15th minute to show that after 15 years of under poor management from Sullivan and Brady, that will be our protest. It's a question of how much drama is this actually going to cause? So it's a bit divided. Some people just don't really give a damn.
Yeah, well, Nuno himself did come out and say he kind of just he wants the fans to be behind the team. He didn't want less focus on the protests and stuff, which I imagine, I suppose, as the newly hired manager, you're going to try and be in the good books of the owners.
Game.
Yeah,
it does
exactly.
sound a bit of a party line, doesn't it? But I can understand. He's also he doesn't have an invested interest in West Ham, does he? He's working as a manager in the Premier League. He wants to do the best he can, and the fans being there going to help you win the game. Obviously, he's going to say.
And the fans themselves did, in their sort of statement, came out and said specifically to Nuno, you know, this is not. It's nothing to do with you. It's not about you. Yeah. This is about the owners. Yeah. And so, you know, I think he's in a good place still.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see what happens on Monday. Yeah. Other fixtures to look at, we've got De Klassiker. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that.
Great German accent there.
My German there. But we've got Bayern versus Dortmund. Now, as we spoke about Harry Kane a little bit earlier, he scored 11 goals in 6 Bundesliga games. I don't know if that's more a reflection, and I'm not trying to be rude here, of the Bundesliga, the quality of the opposition, or is it just that he's insane?
No, let me back that up for you with another statistic, because obviously I prepared before the podcast as well. Don't you worry. Harry Kane this season, not just domestically, by the way, 24 goals. That's including internationals as well, and Champions League too. So that's an insane return considering we're only in October.
Sorry, he's already scored 24, including internationals.
Yeah, including internationals. He's on fire. Okay. And so I can, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't think there's anything to do with the Bundesliga. Yeah. German. I don't know. I think like this, I can only see it going in Bayern's direction as well. And like as a Liverpool fan, also, I'm actually kind of gutted to see Diaz go away and do so well, because so many players tend to sort of reach a point where they're doing really, really well, and Liverpool can kind of see that they're going in a direction where they might be sort of having already peaked. But I think Diaz is riding that peak really well, and he's linking up with Kane really well at Bayern as well. So, they're doing, and I think, you know, Champions League wise, they're looking dominant as well. But for that fixture, I only see a Bayern win.
I think a test. I mean, it's a similar vibe to sort of PSG last season. I mean, you could argue the league is a bit weaker. I'm not going to use the quote that often people say about the French league, but in terms of just like you could see the quality of the side when they played in the Champions League. I think that was the barometer. That's the sort of measure of a team. I can see Bayern winning it. They beat Chelsea comprehensively 3-1. I mean, again, Chelsea are a mixed side. They sometimes play really well, sometimes play quite poorly. So that might not be a good measure, but I do think it is. It's just I think Bayern are going to do good things in the Champions League. I think they're going to smash the Bundesliga. They're going to win this game probably 4-0, and Harry Kane is probably going to get 4 goals as well.
It is one of them. They are scoring literally like 4 or 5 goals like most games now.
Yeah. But anyway, just lastly, in terms of fixtures, we're just going to quickly talk about Sheffield Wednesday. I sort of want to give them a bit more space. I think we will in the coming pods. But yesterday it was announced that there's lots of rumours of a winding up petition. There's rumours that they owe the HMRC £1 million, which is not good. It's a total mess. Lots of the fans obviously want the owners out. Barry Bannon, I wrote him as Gary Bannon in the preview before. He's a hero in those parts. Stuck through the club through thick and thin. Yeah, Naz, what are your thoughts on like those sort of owners that come in? You know, the promise of the Premier League. I presume that was the idea of buying the club. They put in lots of money, in fairness, but it hasn't worked out, and now they're sat 19th 21st in the divion.
It's a shame that football ownership doesn't work in a way that you can, punish owners that essentially are not treating the club the way that they should. And when it's evident that somebody has mishandled, a club as badly as this, they should be forced to sell. But unfortunately, I think a lot of owners, they get to where they are because they're probably kind of selfish at points and they know what they want. And when they want something, I imagine when you're in that kind of position, you can get greedy. And I think that's the position we're in now. It's a shame because obviously it's being like a town that's huge for football as well in terms of obviously United and Wednesday. It's a shame to see these like behemoths of football teams. Well, exactly.
The irony is they are actually above.
They're
Sheffield
above
United
Sheffield United,
which is a bit of a shock. When I looked at the table, I had to sort of took a double take and be like, what? Is that true?
Yeah.
I thought I kind of had sort of forgotten that Chris Wilder had taken over. He has won a game, I believe, but I don't think they'll be there for much longer. They'll be in the playoffs, I'm sure, by the end of.
If I'm Chris Wilder, I'm absolutely laughing at everyone because he was, I think really disrespected in terms of the end of last season. Like, he, some might say, fumbled the bag at the end of the season. Didn't quite get over the line, but that's nothing against like how phenomenal they were last season. So I think it's really, and it's quite like funny to watch them crawling back to him like, oh no, Chris, come back, sort us out, and it's just not the same anymore.
No. Well, just to end, so Sheffield Wednesday are playing Charlton on Saturday. So we'll see how they get on. They might push their way up the league. But we thought we'd end on a sort of fun section that Naz suggested in our sort of prelim meetings on this day. So, Naz, what have you got for us for what's happened on this day in football throughout the years?
Well, today, the 17th of October, in 1962, Leyton Orient have only ever played one season in the top flight of the league, and on that day in this day in that season, for me to say, they recorded their highest score of 9-2. Which is an insane scoreline, but it wasn't against any big teams or anything like that. It was against Chester in the third round of the League Cup. A very good day for Leyton Orient. They didn't have a great season otherwise. No. They weren't really on fire, but that game was pretty insane.
It's gone down
the question it led me to think about was what's an insane scoreline that you remember? A really insane game where there's goals from both sides, basically where defending just didn't exist.
Well, I think it was before like tactics kind of felt like more prevalent in the Premier League. But I remember there's a game that springs to mind, and I think it involves a 9 and a 1. It's Tottenham Hotspur versus Wigan in 2011, 2010. I think Defoe scored like 5 goals.
I think it's 5 goals, It's one of the records for most goals in a game.
I don't know why that sprung to mind. I think there was a hilarious, for me, I found it very entertaining. Again, involving Wigan. Poor Wigan, they're involved in these stats again. But they lost 8-0 to Chelsea. It was the final day of the Premier League in 2010 again. And I just felt like Wigan were one of those sides that just like.
You know who's another team that has that as well? Southampton.
Yes.
On the end of the 9-0s.
Against Leicester.
Which is a crazy result to think about, that's definitely up there, absolutely. For me, I really like the games that are sort of, like the 5-4s, like the 6-5s and that kind of thing. The one that's really prevalent in my mind, there was an Arsenal-Reading game. I think it's the FA Cup. And that was something like it started at like 4-0 or something to Reading, and then there's a comeback, and then out of nowhere, like the Arsenal fans have left, and then in the second half they've turned around. And
I think that might have been the League Cup, aren't they?
Find out
one of those tape.
Fact check.
I do remember those sort of games. I feel like it's just quite funny though when it's like a huge scoreline difference, like if it's like an 8-0 or whatever. But it doesn't. Do you know the thing that annoys me? So the England game last Thursday against Wales. Okay, it was 3-0 in the first half. Yeah. And in your brain, you're thinking, well, automatically it'd be a 6-0 full time because that's how football works. Yeah. No, there seems to be this like underlying like agreement as such where it's just like, well, we'll just shut up shop.
You are right.
Why
you are.
It really annoys
also,
me.
why would you not want to? Well, I guess a lot of this comes down to the manager, right? The manager's saying like, rest your legs. There's no point. We won the game. But if you're a paying fan and you've come for entertainment, I want to see like a 10-3. Do you know what I mean? Like, why do we not get games like that? Like,
I want to see a basketball score. That's what I'm saying.
Get the bang for your buck. Do you think as well, touching on Jermaine Defoe, by the way, getting those 5 goals in the game?
That is a nostalgic Barclays-man, isn't it?
That is a Barclays-man at its finest. What do you think is the highest amount of goals that we could see from a player scoring a game? Because I think with the way that Haaland is, producing insane performances, and he's had games I think where he scored 5. I can see him pushing that. Do you know what I mean?
Again, I think it just goes back to that narrative about like the respect element. I think there is this kind of underwritten rule where players just feel that they're disrespecting the opposition if it was to go over a said amount of goals. I think maybe 6 is kind of seen as like okay as such, like you only be a 6 and that's fine. I just don't think it's going to happen. I feel like nowadays it's all about tactics and like preservation of your fitness levels, all these kinds. I just don't think that. There's so much data involved that I just don't think it'll ever happen, which is such a shame. It is.
Yeah.
I want an 11-0. That's what I want. That's what I want.
I hear it.
But yeah, we've reached the end of today's episode. I'd like to thank Naz, producer Maeve, and our production staff. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We are the Friday Fixture. Enjoy the weekend.
Take care.
Were we a bit noisy? I feel like that was going red the whole time. Can we just like bring it? I'm sure we can.
This is just going to stop in it. Part of me thinks it's going to press stop instead.